Hello, everyone. I just wanted to go over the PPE presentation assignment. I'm thinking that's the one I have maybe not shared enough information about in our class sessions, and so I'll go through that right now. And I hope to get a final PPE report sample posted tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. So first, I'm just going to show you here in Blackboard that just within the learning activities, you can find all the instructions for the PPE presentation right here. So they're first listed here is the PPE presentation grading rubric, and then here's the presentation of PPE experience, and this is your actual assignment instructions. The grading rubric is what I will use to grade your assignment. Okay, so I'm going to pull up all right. So here's the assignment instructions. And so I'm just going to go over this a little bit with you guys. And I don't want to read it all to you, but I want to maybe point out some things that I see students do that maybe you can avoid to have a solid presentation. So, all right. So here's what logistically I'm going to be looking for a PowerPoint. Your presentation should be about 20 minutes in length. And I want you to make sure that you're referencing your sources using APA, so on the slides and then on a final reference page slide. And then obviously we want you to follow, guidelines on effective PowerPoint presentation and delivery. So making sure that everything is visible, that things stand out, not huge chunks of information, but rather bullet points, key points, all of those things, okay? Make sure that you have a working microphone and speakers or headset, and I really want you to obviously be seen. That's one way we can tell how your eye contact is and your inflection and all of that good stuff. So we need to see you, so make sure you have a camera as well. Okay, and then this is just the last final statement here, saying that your grade will be based on your presentation delivery and the content. Okay, and so I just want you to consider all of those things as you're working on this assignment. So here are the specific instructions and like what in terms of content I will be looking for. Okay, so your slides and your verbal presentation should address first, you should have at least a couple slides that provide a nice introduction to yourself, okay? So your full name, the purpose of your presentation, relevance to the audience, a slide on your agenda, and then a slide, at least one slide, talking about where you conducted your PPE, so the name of the facility and the location. Then you need to provide a brief overview of the PPE site, so the type of facility, services offered, number of beds, EHR utilized, and if it was more of a non-traditional site, again, say, let's take Takudzwa at Just Associates, so the type of facility, the services they offer, but maybe it's more like the systems that they utilize to do their work. That would be some good things, and just maybe some other interesting things that you found out about the site. Okay. Sometimes students will provide historical information in this section. Okay. Then talk about or provide, I should say, an overview of the department you were in. And this is where you need to include the organizational chart that you developed as part of your final PPE report. So you can copy and paste that in, and you'll give a brief overview of that organization chart. Okay. Then I want approximately 5 slides on your PPE project. This is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. I will tell you the one thing to consider here is how your audience can view the end product. This is where I see a lot of times that students share graphs, share maybe a document, and they try to cram it onto a PowerPoint slide. In this case, because we are doing this virtually, it will be easy for you to stop sharing your PowerPoint presentation and switch over to, say, to share a Word document or maybe something else, okay? So if that's the case, practice that and, going back and forth. But I would rather see a full, have you unshare and move to a Word document so that I can see the graph or Excel or whatever the system is, but so that I can see what it is you're showing me instead of a little, you know, um, snapshot that nobody can read or understand. And so just think about that and how you're going to show us your end product, okay? Then this is where you have a couple options, okay? So the next couple slides, so 2 to 4 slides, you have the choice of either addressing the workflow analysis that you conducted while you were on your PPE. So if you found that interesting, you could share that, or pick 2 content areas from your final PPE report. So 2 of those areas that really stood out to you or that you found most interesting, okay? And so here's some guidance. If you pick the workflow analysis, what I would like you to do, introducing the workflow you observed, sharing the workflow diagram you developed and briefly explaining that, and then summarizing your findings or areas for improvement and the suggestions that you have to improve that workflow. And then if you choose to address content areas, for each content area, you should explain the content area and why you selected it. Summarize the information you shared in your essay, such as the information that you developed from, the writing prompts that I gave you. Basically, I want to see that you understand the content area and that you can explain it well to us. And then lastly, briefly explain how the exploration of the content area connected to your academic work. Okay, so relate it back to class, the classes that you took, or an assignment or a project or maybe a textbook, okay? Then to wrap it up, I want you to address the biggest challenge you faced while in your PPE. I want you to talk about your biggest lesson learned from the PPE. Did you have any aha moments? And then develop a complete conclusion. So provide a brief, condensed summary of your major ideas, viewpoints, and experiences. The goal of this conclusion is to use your conclusion really to stress the most relevant facts and opinions that you have, okay? So what do you want your listeners to remember about your site or your experience, okay? And then the final slide should be a reference page slide, okay? All right, so I did copy and paste the rubric here so I could just keep on moving. So in this online environment, we're definitely gonna be able to see, tell how well you do with eye contact. Also, it's very obvious, actually it's more obvious sometimes in the online webinar type environment to identify if somebody's reading their notes. So work really hard on practicing and preparing for this presentation so you don't have to rely so much on your notes and note cards. This should be a presentation where you're pretty much storytelling, right? You lived this experience, and so I hope it's easier and that you don't need to rely on your note cards, but rather using the slides to kind of prompt you with a memory or an instance that you want to share about that slide. Facial expressions, please try to smile, have some inflection in your voice, all of those things. We'll be looking at that. Gestures, distracting mannerisms, posture, and composure. So I talk with my hands a lot, and so sometimes you can see that, and that gets distracting. So thinking about some of those things that might stand out. Sometimes I see people rocking, sometimes they're looking up and all over. So those kinds of things. We also can tell your nerves, of course, and so try to stay calm and relaxed with this presentation. Like I said, it's like telling a story, right? Also, professional experience, or sorry, personal appearance. been a long day. So personal appearance, please make sure you have a nice professional top on. Do your hair, brush it, all those good things, and look professional, okay? Here, vocal pitch, rate of speech, volume. So watch how fast you're speaking. Or last term I had several presentations go about 35 minutes, and it was a lot. I would say that mainly two of those situations, it was the individual spoke so slow and took very long pauses between topics. And so that is kind of hard to watch as an audience member too, because it's like, okay, what's going to be the next point here? And so you know, there's extremes, right, on both ends. One, those people that talk extremely fast when they're nervous, and then I felt like it was like a forced slow rate of speech. And so think about that and find that happy medium for yourself and for your audience, okay? Watch your ums, ahs, wells, so's. It's easy for me to say, but I know that even in this presentation, I have a lot of those. It's something that I'm always working on. And so just be cognizant of them. There I go. Uh, so I'm not going to like sit and count every single one of them, but if every other pause is an that's going to stand out, and maybe I do start counting. So consider your transitions between topics, and so try to make those transitions between slides flow smoothly. Okay. Then I'm going to look at your effectiveness of your PowerPoint slides. Again, I mentioned this earlier: font, layout, professional appearance, using bullet points and key ideas versus huge paragraphs of information. Okay. Obviously, spelling, grammar, references, all that good stuff I'll be looking for. And then here's where I have it like broke down into sections according to how I had it laid out above in the instructions. And so here's your introduction. Here's more the body of the presentation. And then we have how it was organized. Consider that as well. Does it flow nicely, the information? Okay. Question answer ability. I would really encourage you all to try to ask questions of your classmates. I am going to invite all of the other faculty and staff to attend these presentations, and so be prepared for questions, okay? And then here's your conclusion, and then presentation length. I will time you. I'll just use my phone and time you guys while you're presenting, and so here's kind of a guideline in terms of what you're looking at if you go too short or too long, okay? All right, this is worth 100 points. And if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with any of these elements, or if you're wondering maybe what to include or what not to include. So, all right, have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Bye.